Creve Coeur District 76 Board of Education meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Giddens.
Here.
Cagle. Here. Catherine Reagan. Here. Valerie Reagan. Tyler. Here. Reiner. Here. Bailey.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is the mission of Creve Coeur School District 76 in partnership with Home and Community for all students to obtain the necessary knowledge, skills, and self-motivation to become lifelong learners, socially responsible citizens, and active participants in their ever-changing world. Vision. In keeping with the mission statement, Creve Coeur School District 76 will provide students with the access to current curriculum and the tools necessary to enable them to become confident lifelong learners.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Are there any comments from the audience on action items on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to action items. I need a motion for the minutes, please.
I make the motion to approve the meeting minutes for the regular meetings dated February 23rd, 2016 and March 8th, 2016, and the special meeting dated March 9th, 2016.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Giddens. Cagle. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Abstain.
Tyler. Aye. Reiner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the payments list, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the payments list dated March 14, 2016.
Second.
Any comments, questions?
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Catherine Reagan. Aye. Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the Parkview activity account.
I'll make a motion to approve the February Parkview School Activity Fund Report.
Second.
Any questions? Comments? Roll call.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding LaSalle School Activity.
I'll make a motion to approve the February LaSalle School Activity Fund Report.
Second.
Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Giddens.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the IT vendor contract, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the IT vendor contract with Swindle Consulting Group, Inc.
I second.
Questions? Discussion?
Okay, I would like to say that the reason it's broken down this way, and it hasn't been in the past, is because of the new E-rate laws. And we should get 90% refund on the first section here. It is under E-rate. The bill did go up a little bit. It went up $688.
Minutes of the MIBS contract is for $18,300 per year, for $30 per student enrolled. And the monthly payments are started July of 2016.
Put the rest of the money in there.
Just having minutes, that sentence.
I would put
Could we, yes, could we put the E-rate amount and the regular amount? The total is 30.
I would recommend not putting the E-rate amount in there, because this is an estimate from Mr. Wendelin, and we cannot be assured that that's what's going to happen as far as your
Okay, the way I understand it, this is the amount before the E-rate kicks in. So you're saying that's an estimate also?
So no, the 90%.
Right, I'm not going to 90%. I would put the $35,128
Okay.
a year. That covers both the E-rate portion before the discount and his normal fees.
I misunderstood. Our discount may or may not be 90%.
So a total of,
$35,128.
Yeah, my mistake.
Okay, Mr. Gibbons? Does that cover what you wanted?
Yeah, I just put the dollar amount, so if anybody
Let's
looks at our
put the
minutes,
total of all of it, and that's more.
yes.
Let's do the total.
Yes.
if anybody looks at our minutes, they know what it counted with this dollar amount.
So after the Wonderland, you want any amount of
$35,128 per year.
Any other discussion on that? Roll call when you're ready.
Denny.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Captain Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. We need a motion regarding the Parkview Elevator project.
I make the motion to obtain 3 proposals from Kenyon and Associates Architects, Inc. for the Parkview Elevator project.
A second.
Discussion? Questions or comments? Everybody's comfortable with continuing with Kenyon? Okay. Roll call, please.
Denny.
Aye.
Cagle. Aye. Captain Reagan. Aye. Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, before we make the next motion, do you have some information for us, Mr. Aldridge?
Sure we will. Oh. That is in your Word packet.
Okay. So that's $2 for lunch prices.
After the Wendell contract, item number 7, you have the worksheets that we have to go through because of the federal free and reduced lunch and putting together our lunch prices. And the requirement price for 16-17 is $2.05 for lunch, $1.25 for breakfast. That's the student cost. And the adult, breakfast cost is $1.50 and lunch is $2.40. We don't have a lot of discretion when it comes to this. We still lag behind in our pricing, but it's an odd system because you can only go up 10% or 10 cents per year, even though you were lagging behind in our pricing. So that's just the way the federal system is. So this is how it is calculated, and those are the prices.
So you're saying we're lagging behind other districts?
No, the federal calculator and the pricing, the non-federal calculator, the pricing, is that we have the ability, or we should, I'm not quite sure what it is exactly, but we're about 30 cents behind in our pricing, but that's been over a number of years where you have it increased by the maximum. Okay. So it's just a matter of aggregate cost being lagging behind, that's all.
We would have an option of only raising it a nickel.
Well, you don't have to raise it at all.
I thought last year we were told we had to raise it. At least a nickel.
Well, that might be the case.
Yeah, requirement price is a nickel.
Right. Yep.
So you're suggesting $2 instead of $2.05?
I think it would be easier as far as handling the money.
It would be. Yes.
that the concern, handling the money, or is it for the concern of trying to recoup your costs for your food
Is
service?
our food service going negative? I mean, how's our budget money?
Doing okay, but every year, we have lost the fresh fruits grant and those things that we have not replaced any through that budgeting process. So, just considerations for the board.
Anyone ready to make a motion? Do we need more discussion? Yes, no?
We're talking, do we keep it at $2 or $2.05 in case they're not on food this much?
It's basically it, yes.
So how many kids are not on food this much?
Something percent, I would imagine. 28, 29.
Right around 20%.
And what's our cost now for the thing?
95.
But I see where Mr. Aldridge is coming from. I know that even money's easy, but we can't stay at $2 a year after year after year. I mean, we're creeping out.
That's true.
So next year's gonna be $2.15, which the child doesn't leave, pulls out $2 and loses 15 cents. They can get lunch.
I'm gonna guess most parents probably pay ahead of time.
Hopefully,
We've got some cooks here. Do they usually pay ahead of time in the office or
Yes. They
teachers?
pay the kitchen and they put it on their card, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
like I'll have kids bring me an envelope with money in it, and I send it straight to the kitchen.
Okay,
And then
so-
some of them, I think, they give it to you, right?
So you're still paying the cash.
In case they're actually paying for $2.05.
I don't see this big advantage if only 20% of the kids are
Are actually paying for lunch. It all adds up.
but doesn't that also affect how much we get reimbursement from the government? So if we cut it,
Does that affect that, Mr. Aldridge?
Our the federal reimbursement for the lunch program is based upon the free and reduced population. So it is not really connected to our pricing.
The other 20%. So I'm ready to make a motion? Or
So
not?
where's the breakfast? How much is the breakfast?
125, right?
125.
And 152.05. But I don't have the adult prices.
The adult was 240.
150.
Thank you.
It's confusing.
Or $2 and $1.20.
Right. 205 is the maximum.
How does that affect the adult breakfast and lunch?
What was it this year?
Well,
130 and $1.40. I'm sorry, $2.30 and $1.40.
We either jump it now or we're gonna have to wait next year and up it again. So if you just do the 10 cents, which is the most we can do, right? We might not have to do as much next year.
well, you can only do 10 cents.
That's
Right.
right.
Right,
I mean, it's half.
right.
How many make the motion to approve the student breakfast at $1.25, lunch price $2.05, breakfast adult price $1.50, and adult lunch cost at $2.40 per meal for the 2016-17 school year.
Second.
Any more discussion needed? Roll call, please.
Higgins,
Aye.
Hagar, Catherine Reagan,
Aye.
Tyler,
Aye.
Reiner,
Aye.
Bailey.
Motion carried. I think we need more discussion on the calendar before motion's ready. We have in your packet option 1, option 2, and option 3. Mr. Aldridge, would you like to explain the differences?
Well, written at the bottom, option 1 is the 2-hour early dismissals on the second and fourth Wednesdays. Option 2 is the half-day SIP days on Fridays, the first Fridays of the month. And option 3 was SIP days on Wednesdays, just making the SIP days half days in the middle of the week, just to say an extra option, doesn't matter where the half day would fall.
Some of the data you gave us back, we saw that the kids were missing on Friday, so it could have been because it was Friday instead of Wednesday. Or not. You don't know, I mean, you don't know. Mr. Giddens, you had questions?
I did, a little bit, I just need some clarification here. Reading your notes down here, option 1 says 175 student attended days. And option 2 gives us only 167 student attendance days. And option 3 is 167 student attendance days. And I've also noticed on the back of these, it had all these improvements, these SIP days listed, and options 2 and 3. But you didn't list those options, those days, in option 1, which would come out to 16 days.
Right, because in the school calendar, if you're doing an early dismissal, as long as you have 5 hours, it's considered a full day of attendance for the students. All right, so the 2-hour early dismissal doesn't reduce that number of attendance days on the calendar itself. Okay, the students are going to school half days on the other 2 options, while those half days are not considered full student attendance days. So they're school improvement days. So you have to show and tell why you're taking school improvement days, and that's what the explanations are on the backs. For an early dismissal, the State Board of Education doesn't really concern itself with that. So you can have an early dismissal as long as you're giving 5 clock hours of instruction, and you're able to take that time as early dismissal out, and you don't have to. There's no specific requirement on how you use that time, but if you label something as a school improvement day, taking a half day off, then you have to give that description of what your activities are going to be. That's why those are there.
Okay, just make sure, because I'm looking at this chart, and on the back it says, like a regular day starts at 8:25 and ends at 3. The instruction day length is 5.75 hours. 5 hours, 45 minutes.
Right.
So if you said we have to have 5 hours instruction times on those, and if we're doing an early dismissal, are we dropping below that 5 hours, 45 minutes? If we let the kids out 2 hours early?
The instructional day length of 5 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay.
You can see the regular day is 8:25 to 3 p.m. That's the regular school day.
All right.
So the Educaiton lunch and recess and passing periods and all of those things. Okay. So when you back those 2 hours out of there, you don't necessarily have to back it out of instruction.
Okay, so right now they're attending a normal school day, 6 hours, 35 minutes? Students?
Yes?
Okay, so if we chop it 2 hours, that'll take us down to 4 hours, 35 minutes, which is less than 5 hours.
Okay.
If we have to have a minimum of 5 hours, we just chop 16 days below 5 hours.
Well, what we can do is go back or just scrap option 1 and move on.
Well, okay, we need 175, from what I read, we need 175 days. Otherwise, the state, if we come up one day with only 4 hours, the state deducts from their payment to us 1/75 of what we get from the state fund, because we did not have 175 days. So every day we pull up short, less than 5 hours of instruction time, what I've read, and we start taking away from school. All 3 of these options, for instance, this one here, options 2 and 3, means we're only going to school 167, so they're going to deduct roughly 4.5% of what we get for the annual from state funded, if you calculate it out.
But you can have the parent-teacher conference days and your teacher institute days.
You can,
That's how you're coming up with your 186 days.
but if we start with these cutting down below this 5, and we're doing that 8 days, when we drop below the 5 hours, if we're at 6, or in this situation, if we're, students only here 6 hours, 35 minutes, if you send them home 2 hours early, they're below 5 hours. 16 days out of the year. So we don't get state funding for 16 days. That'll be reduced. Is the way I read it out of this. And then it talked about a carryover, and I don't understand that carryover.
Is that where you're banking the hours?
What's that?
Is that where you're banking the
The
hours?
you can bank 2 hours, so if you have a 3-hour day and you got a bank of 2 hours, you can put it on there and give you a
And
school
that's-
attendance day. But I don't understand that portion of it. But what
I don't think I can. I don't think I can, but I don't think I can make it clear. During the school year, you have to have 5 clock hours. So we have an instructional day of 5 hours and 45 minutes. So those 45 minutes of each school day add up, and you bank them. And you can bank into up to 120 hours, or minutes, 120 minutes, 2 hours, of time to be used for school improvement purposes. The State Board of Education allows that to happen. You can have unlimited school improvement time, half days, early dismissals, however you want to use it, as long as you don't overuse what you have in the bank. So each week, each day, we accumulate 45 minutes of time. So each week, let's see, 45 times 5, I guess that's about 3 hours and 45 minutes per week you bank for instructional time. So each week, for every 5 days, we have 3 hours and 45 minutes that we can use for instructional purposes. So whether we use it as half days or we use it as 2-hour early dismissals, we have the banked time there. So it's there. The calendar is, all three of these options are perfectly acceptable. Pupil attendance days 176, because we have half-day school improvement program, we have 8 of those. All right, so 8 half-days plus your banked time puts those 8 full days back into your calendar for 175 days of attendance. That's the way the state board figures the school calendar. So we won't deduct any money. There won't be any loss of general state aid. All 3 options are viable. It's been discussed.
It's legal, yes.
Been discussed. So,
Then I guess what's confusing me the most is where it says option 2 and 3 is only 167 student days.
well, that's because on the back, you can see it says 167 days. Well, if I would have wrote 175 days out here, and it's 176 on the back, it would have been incongruent. So, 176 days, 8 half days, improvement programs.
So add 4.
Well, you're adding back
You're
all
adding-
8.
You're adding 8,
Because
yes.
it's a half a day of instruction, and then 3 hours of school improvement time. Well, we bank 3 hours and 45 minutes per week of instructional time.
Right, here's my question. Is on the Wednesday, a short day on Wednesday, I don't necessarily care for, it's just my opinion. I would either like to see us, for our kids and our families, do the half days on every other Wednesday, or option 2, which is the half days on Fridays, because if your kids are gonna possibly plan a long weekend or something like that, then the parents can take off and do something on the half day on Friday, and take off and leave town early if they want to, okay? On the every other Wednesday, I think that gets a little hairy, a little confusing for the families. Might be convenient for everyone to get in all the time, have that instruction to teachers and all of that.
And I think you've done it, it's not Mark Rich Wednesdays, because there's 2 Wednesdays.
It says
Second.
the second and fourth Wednesday.
Except,
But just the half days on Wednesdays, I particularly don't get the option. So I would prefer option 1 or option 2, that's just one opinion.
option 1 is the 2 hours every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday,
Okay, so you like option 1
or option 2.
or option 2?
Just one.
What happened to option 3
I
on
don't care
Fridays
for
where they could
option-
leave?
Option 3 is Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, option 2 is Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
option 2 is Friday.
Okay.
But we're discussing,
1 and 2.
I like 1 and 2, I don't like 3.
uh-huh,
I think 3 is inconvenient for parents.
I do too.
Any other questions? So everyone understand the,
Just to clarify.
Sure.
Either option, it's the same amount of instructional time for the kids, right?
In other districts, do option 1, and it's like working okay for them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is doing option 1? Yes, is my option.
Beacon High does it late start though, they reverse the time of the day.
Eric Washington was. Most of them do the late start, the high schools do.
Yeah.
And I
Late
think
start.
Washington,
I don't want these Bureau grade schools doing the Wednesday, no, they're not, because they're doing the half day on Fridays. That's what their calendars
This grows you happy on Friday.
are. Grade school. I believe that's what Robin is doing as well.
And then the high school does the morning goes late.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
High school's a little bit different, I think.
yeah.
Just to clarify for the audience too, our option one is the second and fourth Wednesday, we take 2 hours off. Option two is a half a day on Friday, and there would be 8 of those. And option three is Wednesdays, half a day sit day, 8 of those. Is the board ready to make a motion? We need more clarification. Okay?
Make a motion to approve option 2 for the 2016-2017 proposed public school calendar.
I second.
Any other questions? Clarifications? Okay, it will be voted on. Go ahead.
Giddens,
Aye.
Cagle,
Aye.
Catherine Reagan,
Aye.
Tyler,
Aye.
Griner, Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, we need a motion to approve the first reading. Mr. Giddens, would you like to make that motion?
Okay, I make the motion regarding first reading of policies number 7:20, harassment of students prohibited. 7:50, school admissions of students, transfers to and from non-district schools. 7:170, vandalism. 7:200, suspension procedures. 7:220, bus conduct. 7:290, suicide and depression awareness and prevention. And 8:90, parent organizations and booster clubs.
Second. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
And I emailed everybody a copy with all the footnotes on the suicide, because that one our committee didn't talk about. And I wanted everybody to carefully read those footnotes, because they talk about the regional office supposed to be doing some training, especially for our middle school, 7th and 8th grade teachers and things like that. So I'm just trying to get the word out.
And you have the notes from the committee meeting in your packet.
For everything else.
Okay, so that was 7.290 that is new, correct?
The one that the committee did not review.
Okay, so,
And if you have, I've got a copy here with the footnotes. I mean, you have a copy in there, and it talked about a bunch of other things that's gotta go on in the background. And it's also something that we gotta get posted on our website.
so what are you recommending on the strategic planning committee? Because that was optional. On the second page, in the middle,
Okay, second page in the middle.
the Illinois Suicide Prevention Strategic
I
Planning.
didn't recommend it.
Well, that was,
I mean,
in the
right.
footnotes, it was optional at this point.
Do we also want to change the grades 7 through 12 to read 7th and 8th?
And then also under monitoring and the information to staff, parents, guardians, and students, that I used to go for the attorney. according to this footnote. Whether or not they have to sign up, make sure 7 days, and they're not, except if I ask the attorney.
We didn't read it since it was just approved.
All of these go to the parent-student committee, right?
Not the
Handbook
ones,
committee?
not the
This
ones on
7:29, no, all of these, none of these go to parent, this is what to our committee. Now, there's others that's going to the parent-teacher
Okay.
advisory committee.
All right. So
They're
we're not
not
sending them
on
all of 7 now.
right?
No, there was some that the board,
Okay.
it wasn't required.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's all mandatory except for those suggestions, so. We just need to figure out how the staff's gonna be made aware. And how you're gonna document that they have been made aware.
And that's, we were talking about the administrators and superintendent and everything else and all those footnotes. And the monitoring that you were asking about, is that where the board will review and update this policy pursuant to Anne Marie's law and board policy? We'll probably be handling that request.
Is this the most current one?
Unless one came out yesterday,
Okay, that's fine.
or yesterday's one seen in the packet.
All right, is everybody comfortable with the one change? Only one or two?
Well,
Just one?
seventh and eighth grade, I'm not making any change, I'm just saying that that section is optional, you can leave it in if you want to, you can take it out.
Which section was that again?
Illinois Suicide Prevention Strategic Planning Committee.
Yeah, I think we should leave it in.
And make sure you do it if you do it.
Yeah, we should leave it, because that's important.
And also in here, there was something I was reading along with all of this. There was a link, and I mentioned it last meeting. And if we put this on our homepage, if we could include that link, because if you're reading all the footnotes, it's talking about liability and trying to get the information out of what's available and what's available to the community. I think that link is a good start.
Says the superintendent shall inform each school district employee about this policy and ensure its posting on the district's website, so.
And Farragon, we're gonna find out, we gotta make sure that all the students, I think parents are informed, that's where your handbook comes in.
Correct. All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Kidney,
Aye.
Gable. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Information items. Is there any written communication? Reminder of upcoming events. Wednesday, March 23rd at 6 o'clock, the board has a meeting. Thursday, March 24th at 5 o'clock, the board has a meeting. March 28th, on Monday, March 28th, 6 o'clock, the board has a meeting. The next regular scheduled meeting will be April the 12th. Everyone should have gotten an economic interest statement. Yes? Okay, either send them in, and when you get the receipt, you need to bring them in to Mrs. Walton. If you haven't mailed it in, you can bring it to the office and she'll mail it in for you, whichever you prefer. It is due by May 1st. Make sure that everybody sends it in or you get fined, and I think the district gets dinged when that ROE comes in. All right, are there any presentations and suggestions by board members? Okay.
Here's the information you're gonna need for the next few nights. Look it over, make sure that there's no similar questions. If you wanna change yours, let me know by noon tomorrow. Mrs. Bailey recommended that I start, so, okay, I put myself first, she put me first. Okay?
All right, any other suggestions? Reports from the principals.
Yes, how about Dr. Kennel, we start with Parkview?
All right. First thing, I want to thank you for getting the camera fixed on the second floor. Stay along with the monitor. Of course. Some notes about field trips. On April 20th, our fifth graders are going out to the park out by Broomfield.
On May the 4th, our sixth graders are taking a field trip to the Peoria Chiefs game. It does come with a curriculum that is both science, math, and language arts. I'm excited about that. And on May the 13th, our eighth graders and 4 teachers and myself are going to Six Flags. Anybody wants to join us is welcome to come along. Some good news items. We had 64 students in grades 5 through 8 on the AB honor roll, and another 17 on the high honor roll, which is straight A's. So we had 81 students on the honor. Right now, we are preparing for our part test, which we will start on April the 7th, right after we come back from spring break, and everybody's had a chance to run off some of that extra energy. Are there any other questions or easy?
How's your after-school tutoring doing?
After school tutoring, the warmer the weather gets, the less interest students seem to have. But we are going to continue that until May the 12th. We set that deadline today because it was requested for menus and snack items as Ms. Davis is making her plans for the month of May. May 12th takes us until the day before the 8th grade field trip, 7 days before 8th grade promotion, so this makes good sense. We have basically another month or so we need to take out for spring break today. So.
You did have a waiting list.
No waiting list right now. And our retention, or potential retention numbers are way down, way down. So, as a matter of fact, the sixth grade, there aren't any. So grades are improving markedly. So, all right.
Great, Mr. McCormick. Thank you, Dr. Powell.
No problem.
Dr. Tennell reported on her honor roll. Ours is being compiled at the moment. Mrs. O missed a couple of days due to illness and was going to get on it today, but was missing one teacher's report because she's out sick. So sickness has been running through our building. A lot of strep, a lot of high fevers. We had one classroom that for 3 days had half their students. So we've been a little extra diligent with spraying and cleaning and disinfecting, and hopefully we're past the worst of it now.
So our second grade class, I had only had 9 kids, right? Yes. Yeah.
Which, on one hand, it's kind of nice to have a small class to work with, but then you've got to think about the other half of the class that's falling behind as you do that, so. The beginning of the month, or at the very end of last month, had our second tornado drill. We're only required to do one, but, after a couple of years ago with the tornadoes that went through, Pekin, Washington, surrounding areas, I like to do one in the fall and the spring, since that tornado came in the fall. Kids are great. They know the drill, good to practice it though. We've done all our required fire drills. We've got a police department drill, although we've done one on our own. We'll do one with the police department coming up as well. We celebrated Dr. Seuss's birthday, which is always important in our building, with a week of different activities and theme days going on. We had a visit from Christine Feller, who's with the Attorney General's Office in the High Tech Crimes Division. She comes in, and I've had her speak before. She does presentations with the kids and talks about, the dangers of Facebook, the dangers of Twitter, and all the trouble they can get into if they just spew information out there to everybody. So she's really good. She tailors it to different levels. She doesn't go below second grade, and she only does second grade second semester. So we've got second, third, and fourth in our class. We had a successful sock hop last week that was organized by the teachers. I don't know if we ever had a final count. We had probably well over 150 people there.
200, over 200, wasn't it? 212, I think.
Okay, well, that's over 150. So, well over 150 people there. And everybody seemed to have a good time, well organized. Kids were well behaved. A lot of games and activities going on throughout the evening. So it was a good opportunity to get the students and the parents into the building, which we're trying to do more and more of. And last thing I have, our part testing is complete. I actually wrapped up the last... Complete? Complete.
All right.
wrapped up our last makeup exam today. We were slightly delayed, well, our sickness played a part in that as well, especially when you get a kid who misses a whole week of school. They get a whole week of tests to make up. We had one student where we had a technology issue that wasn't us, it was Park. But they were very responsive. I called the state board called Pearson called me, and next thing it was fixed. So, we didn't have that last year. This is our first kind of Pearson glitch, so to speak, but they were very responsive. Kids are all done. We did use the Chromebooks to do it in every classroom simultaneously, or close to simultaneously. There's no, shotgun start for it, but at about 9 in the morning, give or take, all our 3rd and 4th grade classes plus 2 special ed rooms would start, and as they finished, they finished. So it went pretty well.
Very good.
Any problem with bandwidth or anything like that? Tests were running smooth?
No, everything seemed to run pretty smooth. We did have a little glitch with especially on the first day with the Chromebooks, where something got updated, but the Chromebooks hadn't updated, and so, we did have one of Mr. Wendland's guys there who figured it out quickly. The problem is when it affects 5 computers in this room, 6 computers in this room, we're shuttling computers around. By the time the testing was done that day, all the computers were back to being good. It just took him 2 minutes on each computer to get it properly updated.
Sounds like it was money well spent on everything.
Yeah, really went smooth.
Thank you. Mathematics curriculum review.
Yes. For the past couple months, the board has been discussing the fact of a mathematics curriculum. And what I have, I'm going to pass around real quick, is an article out of Education Week last year. And I'm going to read the article at your leisure, but if you look at the back, the very back page, Education Week did a study, they did research basically, on these 20 math curriculum. And that's what's talked about in this report, in this article. And you can see that they looked at meeting criteria for alignment to the Common Core, or the Illinois State Learning Standards. And the darker is meets, the lighter shade, or no shade there at all, because it's yellow, partially meets criteria, and then the other one does not meet criteria. So you can see that all of these mathematics or math curriculum are being evaluated, and the one that meets all of the standard, and it's real hard because this copy doesn't really play it out. It needs to be in color, so you can't really tell. The one, Great Minds, Eureka Math, which is Engaged New York, that's the only one that's green. The rest of the darker shades are red and yellow. If you want to have the colored report, I can send a link to you to get that. But Eureka Math or Engaged New York Mathematics, from Great Minds, well, from Engaged New York, sorry, is the only one that meets the criteria for alignment with the Illinois Learning Standards. That's what this article is about. Most math curricula found to be out of sync with the Common Core, and it's just a good collection of evidence showing that Engaged New York is the math curriculum that most meets the alignment to the Illinois State Learning Standards. one of the other things that we did with our math curriculum as we were investigating and working through is to put together a survey, and we have here kind of a summary of the results of the survey by our staff. You can see there at the top that 20 people responded. There were 23 people who attended the math curriculum meetings, and there were 20 who responded yes. There were 14 that responded no because they weren't teaching mathematics. So we can go through the questions here. Do you believe that Creve Coeur needs a math curriculum? 19 participants, respondents said yes, 1 respondent said no. Were you given the opportunity to express your opinions at the meeting? 8 said yes, 10 said no, but we believe that the no's were really referring to the very last meeting, which was, is this something that you want to do with Engaged New York? So the question was probably not phrased as clearly as it could have been. So, did you discuss Engaged New York at the meetings? 19 said yes, 1 said no. Did you discuss other math options at the meeting? 19 said yes, 1 said no. What other options were discussed? The Illinois Live Binders, creating your own, Georgia Math, textbooks were some of the responses. Did you feel pressured to choose a particular program? 6 said yes, 13 said no, and 1 said neither. So, did the consultants persuade you that Engaged New York was the best option? All 20 said yes. Everybody was in agreement that Engaged New York was the best option. Did you feel included in the process of choosing a new math curriculum? 11 people said yes, 4 said no, 5 said neither, but those were kind of either no responses or kind of descriptions. There was a part there, a partition where you could write in some things if you wanted. Did you teach Engaged New York lessons? 13 said yes, and 14 said no. How many lessons did you teach? You can see the respondents there, the 13. How long did it take you to prepare your lessons? 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours. Did your preparation time decrease with more exposure to the program? 8 said yes, 4 said no, 1 said no. Did you use technology with your lesson? 9 yeses, 4 no's. If you use technology, what do you use? Smart boards, laptops, Chromebooks, video camera. How would you rate the ease of Engaged New York, the curriculum? 1 would be hard, to 5 being easy. Of the 13 respondents, the average was a 3.2, so right in the middle. If you taught more than 1 lesson, did it get easier? 8 said yes, 4 said no, 1 said neither. How did your students respond to the lessons? Written responses reflect good versus bad. 8 said yes, 2 said bad, and 3 said neither. So many reported that they felt it would get better and better over time. So students' responses. How did your students perform on the lesson assignments? 1 bombed it, 10 aced it, and the average was 6.7, so a little better than average. How did you like teaching Engaged New York? 1, I hated it, 5, I loved it, and the average was 3.8, so a little above average, nice. Please rate Engaged New York compared to other math programs you've used in the past. 1 was unsatisfactory, and 10 was awesome, and the average was 6.5. What would you like to tell me about the process we're taking to find a new math curriculum? All right, so those were written responses, so we sorted them out into positive, negative, and neutral. So there were 6 positive responses, 1 negative, and 4 neutral responses. What would you like to tell me about any new math curriculum? Again, those were written responses, and it was 6 positive, 2 negative, and 5 neutral. So that's the feeling of those who responded to the survey. Mr. Jokish, give him credit for putting together the summary and putting all of that together. But you know, we can sit here and talk about it and you know, tell you how good it is and those things. But I thought it would be a little more convincing either way if you heard from some of our teaching staff. So today we have Ms. Graffis and Ms. McIndollar, who have been using Engage New York, and I'll let them kind of give you their impressions and how it's been going in their classroom with using Engage New York. So, ladies, you decide who wants to go first.
Okay, well, the first grade teachers did not respond to the survey, and only because we were in the middle of a unit, and so we felt like we had to teach it before we could respond. Although some of those questions pertaining to how it was presented to us, I think was positive. The first grade teachers felt like when we met with Mr. Jokish and the ladies that it was worthwhile. But we felt that we had to finish the unit we were in and then start with the beginning unit, which was measurement, which we just did. We have pros and cons. The pros outweigh the cons. Part of it being the time that is allotted for that really tears into, I mean, we are having trouble doing anything but reading and math. And we're trying to do science. We've gotten some science units because we know that they're not getting prepared for science at a young enough age when they get to 3rd and 4th grade in that. And so that was kind of one of the downfalls. But we also learned that it really didn't take us as long to teach the lesson as what the curriculum said. For this one presentation part that we do, this lesson, we're supposed to take 30 minutes. Seriously, my kids had that the daily lesson in 10 minutes, and they understood it. And so I think it probably doesn't take as long. It starts out with fluency and some different things that you do at the beginning, just as a review before you start your lesson. And that we weren't able to do because, honestly, the three of us went, what are they talking about? Because it was a terminology that we weren't familiar with. So we would have had to start at the beginning to know what we were exactly supposed to be doing. So there were a couple things that I understood what they were talking about that I did with my kids. My kids did well with it. But to do all of the fluency and things at the beginning of each lesson, we'd have to start at the beginning of the book. Positive, it was very hands-on, the unit we did. The kids really enjoyed it. And they were measuring things, which we always do with measurement, but they were using the rulers and stuff. A negative to that, when I started teaching, excuse me, I got a terrible cold. When I started teaching here almost 20 years ago, I was told in 2nd grade I had to learn the metric system because I had to teach the metric system. Well, to this day I do not know the metric system very well, a little bit. And I don't think that our country has turned over to do all metric system like they thought we would. That unit on measurement taught nothing as far as inches and feet and yards. It was strictly non-standard, which we've always taught non-standard, where you measure with paper clips and things. But and then we had to do everything in centimeters. And there was no measuring with inches, which I kind of disagree with that, because until our country, or our state, whatever, is totally going over to the metric system, the kids need to know how to measure with inches. So that part of it, but I think as a whole, that's just tweaking on our part. That I think that the first, and I'm just speaking for the first grade teachers, we liked it. We felt it was good that it built, the lessons built on each other. We didn't do anything else to compare it to. We haven't taught any of the other curriculums that he had, that he talked about. But we felt that we could really work with that. The other point I want to make is, though, I know that there's not a cost to that right now. And I was talking to Mrs. McIndollar as far as some I know some of the teachers would like to have workbooks. Oh, this is one of the things I can praise about this. I don't want a workbook. First graders are not good at tearing those pages out. I spend more time tearing them out for them and taping them and all that. And I would rather just have my lessons for the week, make the copies, and have that done. So I really like that part of it. But there's a lot of manipulatives. And so we would have to, if we go with this, by the end of the school year, we would have to have a list of those manipulatives so that they could be ordered for us, so that we wouldn't be starting the school year without the things that we need. We would have to have those things that we need day one, beginning, because this starts like day one. So that's my input. Go, Mrs. McIntyre.
I don't have much more to say than that. I taught fractions. I taught for about 3 weeks, the fraction unit. I did not finish it. The fractions is probably the biggest part of 4th grade. Fractions, multiplication, and division. What I did like when I went onto the website, they have everything in modules. And then from the modules it goes to topics, and then from the topics it goes to the lessons. So it breaks it down, and depending on the module, depending on the topic, depends on how many lessons you're going to have. But I liked how it was scoped out so that we're starting the beginning of the year with place value as review, adding and subtracting, a little bit of review, but it's only a few days, a few lessons. Then it really gets into the multiplication, division, fractions, what we really need to focus on. All of the lessons, they have verbatim what the teacher needs to say and what she needs to do. And it even gives examples of what the students are going to answer with so that you can prepare that way. There are sprint reviews, like Mrs. Graffis said, where you have a review at the beginning of every lesson. So they are reviewing things that they've done maybe last year or yesterday. So there's just different reviews. Story problems, the concepts of the lessons, and there was plenty of practice for each one of the concepts that they wanted to be learned for that time. All of the worksheets, I'm sorry.
Was there something to where if a kid brought that home, if a parent was struggling themselves, could they go back and review and even help themselves, help the kid at home?
There is a letter that goes along with each module. I believe Mr. Jokic, am I correct on that? Mm-hmm. That lets the parents know what is going to be worked on. But on the worksheets, all of the worksheets had modeling
because I
for
think
different.
That's what we want for our kids to be also sent home with the parents is what we were kind of talking about.
Well, I know in the worksheets they had every problem that they had to do. The first page had modeling, and if you looked at the modeling of that problem and you looked at that, you could pretty well figure out what was expected on that page, and all of the lessons that I taught had that. All of the concepts, they built on one another, like Mrs. Graffis said. There was a couple lessons I was doing, and I kept thinking, why do we keep doing this? Well, about the third lesson in, it's like, that's why. Because it started, it did. It just kept building and connecting and making the connections. My students did pretty well with it. And 4th graders, they learned some new terminology. They had tape diagrams. They loved making tape diagrams. They liked using an index card, cutting it into triangles, and then using those to figure out fractions. They used the whiteboards a lot. They were engaged. They did well, and what we did on that particular part with the fractions, they did very well with. Time issues, definitely. There's so much packed into a lesson, and I think though that if my students would have had it the year before and the year before, it would have gone much faster. And as we did continue working, it got better. And then the vocab the same way. If they had learned the vocabulary earlier on, it would have made it simpler so that they know what to do. But I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing, is getting all the teachers all in and making sure that they're doing it as it's intended, so that we can see the full benefits of what they're doing. Like Mrs. Grappis said, there was one part, Mrs. Delich and Ms. Thurman and I, we sat for a while trying to figure out what in the world something was that they wanted us to do.
I felt better when she told me that.
And we finally, it was like, okay, skip that part and we'll come back. And we never did figure it out. But I think if we would have started at the beginning and had maybe more of a math major sitting there with us and sitting there looking at it, we would have been able to know. But being thrown into the middle, it is harder to pick up that way. As far as textbooks go, it's online. There's a lot of YouTube videos that can be used as well to give the instruction and help to parents that may want to help at home. And they had enough worksheets with problems on it that there were some that if the kids seemed to get it, you didn't have to copy off everything. So you can kind of limit and pick and choose as far as how many problems you want them to work in a day.
One concern that we had is that this measurement unit is 13 lessons, and then you assess at the end of that. We are concerned about having enough math grades for our report cards and that, because usually in the 9 weeks, we have 9 grades. We usually take a grade once a week. And so we were just a little bit concerned, and we figured we were going to have to just pull in a supplement, you know, to give them like a little quiz or something in between there in order to have enough grades. But we also figured that's something we could just tweak on our own.
Thank you, ladies.
It kind of, Mrs. McIntyre made a good point. I talked to one of the schools in District 150, and I have to check to see which one.
It's okay.
They use this as well, and that's what he recommended the best way to implement is starting with the lower grades and then gradually moving up.
But which concerns me with our high mobility. Is that gonna work?
Yeah.
But they're going to be constantly moving in. You know, you have to get a plan to catch them up and. That is true. True.
Well, that's what, the key factor is to make sure that there's enough information in this, where you need to go back and look the lesson before, you can kind of teach yourself the lesson. Maybe if you have your sister or your mom or somebody at home can kind of work you through it. So,
What I want to hear, the ones who are using the program, I'm looking at the low-tech end. I know this program's written for the high-tech, people that have computers in school, people that have computers at home. Students that have no computers at home or can't share it with the older brothers and sisters or whatever, you know what I mean? They're all trying to get on and do their homework. Is there enough, and you mentioned vocabulary, and I actually went on and looked at some of the old PARC tests. I think in January they put it online, where we can take the PARC test, look at the questions, sample questions. And it was the vocabulary. Mr. Yoki's brought that up too. The parents, is there material there? Because you're going to have to send it home with parents, because you bring it home like, I have no idea what they're talking about. The kid comes back, no homework done.
But you know what? We talked about, first grade teachers talked about that too. And we sent home homework with a whole part, and we had 3 parents call up Cindy because they didn't know how to help their kid with the homework. I mean, it can't get any more basic than that. And our parents, honestly, the ones that actually do the homework with their kids will do it, will either have the technology at home. I'm just so used to kids not doing their homework and the parents not Karen. I mean, and it's sad. So here's what I think about the technology. We have to give it as much to them as we can in the classroom, because no matter what, they're not, if they're not gonna get it at home, they're not gonna get it at home. And we live in a techie world, so we've gotta be able to do those lessons and use the technology in our classroom the best that we can, so that we can help those kids that aren't gonna get it at home. And we don't know what else to do. I had a mother on the report card, she said, why is my daughter getting a needs improvement in homework? Because she does her homework every week and I sign it. And I sent it back and I said, because in her homework folder is a reading log that they are supposed to do 4 nights a week, and she hasn't done it one time. You know, and so we haven't figured out how to get the parents that don't work with their kids to do it. So we just have to do as much of it in the room as we can. But I don't think there's any way of getting around those parents that are gonna say what you're asking, you know?
The lessons that I taught, I did not use any computers when I taught them. In the classroom, it was the hands-on manipulatives that I gave them, it was the whiteboard that I gave them, and that's what my students used. And then if I sent home homework, which I did not send much because it was new, it was different, but if I did send some, I made sure that those students had completed like the first 3 practice sections in the classroom with me, so that I knew they knew what they were supposed to do before I sent it home for them to go ahead and practice a little bit more.
Okay.
And I didn't have no parent said anything to me about it. I even had a student who was absent, and that parent was able to look at the modeling, look at what I had sent home, and she had completed it. I had the same problem though with the textbook we have now, that the parents don't always know how to do it. And so they just jot me a note and then I reteach it to their child. So I think you're always going to have that.
And I've had ones that I'll give them a copy of the homework and I'll do the first couple problems. If the parents send me a note saying they don't understand it, and I'll send that back. And I'll show the child this, remember this is what we're doing here now, make sure that you give this to mom or dad, whoever's helping you. And so I'll kind of do the first couple for them.
And Mrs. Bailey, if I can address what you had said about the mobility,
Yes.
we have the same problem now with the
I'm
current
sure.
one too.
Yeah,
So
it really wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to hinder for a little, but you try to catch them up and do the best you can. So
Any other questions?
So, at this point, this is informational, so I guess I'm asking for direction from the board. How do you want to proceed with adopting a curriculum? Do you want to, I mean, is there other information that you're looking for? Is there, I guess, I just need to know what the members believe they need to make a decision. Because like Ms. Travis said, you know, we'll need to start going through, and it's one of the things that Mr. Jokic can help with, is going through and finding out the manipulatives that are going to be needed for day one, if this is the series that you want to use, so that we can get them ordered and have that ready.
This is one of our top priorities, I believe, is to get this in place before school starts. And wasn't it to engage in what is the freedom?
It is, yes, it's online, and, you know, there's a cost for the manipulatives. Each grade level has, you know, sets of materials that will have to be purchased. You'd severely hinder, you know, the teacher if we didn't have the manipulatives that go along with the program. So, as far as that being a cost, yes, it's there.
I think the already done the study, don't we just need to find out what the cost is to get all the manipulatives and get that information?
That would be a factor.
Right,
I would like to know what the junior high teachers think about it. Were they included in this survey? Because it just says 23 people.
Everyone who was a part of the consultant going through the math curriculum. So yes, there were special education teachers, there were the junior high teachers were there as well. So this was an anonymous survey, so I can't pull it out, but 23 people were, attended the math curriculum meetings, all those half days, and we had 20 responses. So I would assume that the junior high is in there as well.
Does everybody else want any other information you can provide?
I'd say just the cost.
Yeah, the cost, yeah.
What about the cost for reading also? So that we
The
have.
paid version?
Right.
Yeah, what did we have that. Because I am Mr. Jokic, actually talked to the company to get that as well. So.
Well, mainly what they provide is the workbooks in which the students are able to use, and they provide the teacher, like a teacher's manual, and that's really all that they probably manipulate this also. There's the parent helper worksheets that they also provide. Basically it's when you buy the student workbook, what you're purchasing there is they're basically printing it for you. So that's the main
Yeah, 'cause
cost.
it's online. All of those things are online.
It's the same thing,
The
just
parent
not the
homework is also on there. The parent homework is
The
on
parent
there
home,
also.
yes, those are part of the modules, right?
The parent homework is not. That's something that costs extra. It's like $20 a book. You need to buy at least one per grade level.
That's right, we did price that cost out, yes.
Is there any way we can get like a list that compares like what you get when you just do like Engage New York versus what you get when you like purchase the program from Eureka? Because I think that's what I would want to see before we
I thought
decide.
he showed us a chart about that. in
If
that
it was, I wasn't
presentation.
at the last meeting.
Or was that the presentation?
I was- No.
With your week, it's the same thing. They're just printing and binding the materials
Okay.
for you.
Okay, but like if the manipulatives were included, or like, you have to pay extra for the parents,
May I say something?
Sure.
When I first started here, we started a new science curriculum. That was, I believe when Don Garman was over the curriculum and everything. And they spent tons of money on this stuff for science experiments. And Darla Ladegi and I said, we'll go get it for second grade. And we went to Walmart and we saved a boatload of money to the district by going out and buying the same things at Walmart is that you're paying. Those companies are ripping you off. If we just make a list of the manipulatives that we need, I tell you, between Walmart and the teacher store, save a whole lot of money.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hate spending money you don't want to spend.
Well, if we can get the stuff.
Get the list of approximate costs per grade level. Do you have any questions?
It's so important.
I think
when you-
with
Yeah.
with any curriculum, you're going to have to
STEM.
use
It's all
resources.
the science.
There's all the science in
All
this
science and
system.
technology.
And all that, they need to know.
The one.
Put that back to us next meetings.
That shouldn't be very hard to do. But do we, board want that? Do you want to then have this as a vote or just information?
Put it to a vote so that it's in the minutes, please.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on
Adopting,
yes or no. We're gonna vote yes or no on Engage New York. So, and if the vote is no, then we're starting from square one again.
would you like a couple of options? Just asking.
I just don't know what you mean, options.
Well, Engage New York, or what was the other one? Well, no, we haven't investigated any of that.
Have we investigated anything other than
No.
Engage New York?
Seniors, Georgia Math,
Oh,
what they've done.
The one
That
we've
was,
got
a hand up over
we've
here.
tried Georgia, we do
We do
not
not like
like
Georgia.
Georgia.
No
Cross
Georgia.
off the
No,
list.
it's a good song.
At this time of the year, we don't have time to form a committee and go through every book that is imagined. We've already, we hired, right. He's wanting options.
no, I'm wanting to know what the board wants.
I think they have 4 minutes.
If you, if you want other options, it just will take us time to put all that stuff together.
I would put that, put Engage New York on the agenda. Please. Reports from the superintendent. Have anything to report?
So, thank you, ladies. Mr. Jokish, your part of the meeting is, thank you for your participation. You don't have to stay any longer if you don't feel.
Oh, yes, he does.
Food fundraising restrictions. The State Board of Education regulations are gaining intense focus. Districts are being more and more accountable. The regulations on our district policy discuss the sale and distribution of what's called minimally nutritious foods, popcorn, candy, cookies, cupcakes, those kind of things. The regulations are going to seriously put a dent in the sale of such food items as fundraising activities. So there's a suggested alternative fundraising ideas that we will put to the Parents Club, to the building principals, but essentially conducting fundraising with food items and candy items are coming under so much scrutiny now that the State Board of Education is saying no longer in the schools. So the guidelines talk about 30 minutes after the school day, where we were using our soda machine with the juice and the water at Parkview. It was turned back on at the end of the school day. Well, that's no longer appropriate now. It can't be turned on until 30 minutes after the school day. It's becoming tougher and tougher. I know that the Parents Club is struggling with that because the types of items that, well, their popcorn sale is one of the things that they do during the school day. And even though it is, even though the money's collected and it's not given out until the students are leaving the school at the end of the school day, honestly, the regulations, they shouldn't even receive that until 30 minutes after the school day. So it makes it a little tough. And you can see that smart snacks in schools, all the nutrition standards, any food sold in schools must be, and this is our requirements, must be whole grain, rich grain products. And so if you've eaten the whole wheat crackers and the wheat buns for the hot dogs and the hamburgers, the kids aren't taking to this very well. I think some of these regulations are backfiring, and our students just aren't getting the nutrition, any of the nutrition that they need sometimes, because they're just not going to eat those kind of things. So, you know, the snacks, there's calorie limitations, there's sodium limitations, fat limitations, zero trans fats, saturated fats, sugar limits, you know, all of these kind of restrictions that are being placed on schools. So it's just something that we have to be more aware of and take more due diligence going forward with our fundraising activities. So.
And actually, that should have been stopped at the beginning of the school year, correct?
Mm-hmm. So,
But yet we got no update in policy from press, because I went out to see the latest policy. It hasn't been updated.
And the thing about it is that the press is only responsive to new school laws. Mm-hmm. These are the regulations from the federal government and from the State Board of Education, which sometimes aren't a priority for press. They get to those as they can. So it doesn't surprise me that they haven't addressed all of these yet. But
so who gets this? The food service director or you? Or?
Yes, Ms. Davis brought it to my attention because she received this from the State Board of Education Nutritional Division, because we're going through our administrative compliance visit here, and they will be looking at those kind of things. So she came to me and to Mr. Aldridge, they make popcorn during the time that food service is going on, and we can't do that anymore, and we've got to make some restrictions. So we're taking care of some of those things. As far as the nutritional guidelines, we've been meeting those, all along. So, the school lunches, have been meeting the nutritional guidelines, and all of those are provided by the vendors, Whole Foods, Fox, River, all of those. So on their website, Ms. Davis, when she's ordering, the food that comes through, she's able to look at and see those actual numbers that are going on.
So we're only serving low-fat milk or fat-free milk, not 1% anymore.
Well, what is low fat? Because we have.
So there's no chocolate milk.
But they're both low fat.
1%, it's 1%.
1% is considered low fat.
Okay, so no more popcorn, no more fundraising during the day with food, period.
Yeah.
So student council is aware of this also, because some of their activities use food.
Yep, those are things that are coming out, and yeah, people are upset about it, but I don't have any choice. No, it doesn't mean that they can't have Fannie Mae candy, boxes of Fannie Mae candy, and take them home to sell.
Right.
Because they can do that. What we can't do is allow sale during the school day.
But they can do it at,
30 minutes after.
but they can do it at the rest of the day.
because that is, yes,
After
like
the
your
school day.
concessions, that's after the school day, on weekends, right.
Okay, how about as a gift, as a reward for bringing back a summer school form, we're giving them a candy bar, how does that play into this?
Well, I guess we'll just have to stop doing all of those kind of things.
I'm just,
You're not
I mean,
selling
you
it.
can't, you're not selling it, but you can't make sure they don't eat it
Right,
on
that's
the way
right.
home.
Do they still do
Well, what that was you were purchasing a ticket, and then you were able to pick your candy gram up as you were walking out the door. But I think it's going to be.
frozen banana. Or a fresh fruit.
Most of the bananas the day I was at school went in the garbage. Not too many kids ate them. It's healthy, but they didn't.
And that's kind of
That's a rule that we have to follow.
Those are good
I
ones.
just have a question. Deanna told me they got mixed signals on this. Are we going to follow this or wait till next year?
I would say we're going to follow this now since it came out
Okay,
first of this year. July 1, 2016, we should have been following it. So do you not agree? Oh, 15?
no, this is 15-16 school year. That's something else in July 1.
Okay.
But I mean, because they get mixed signals and confused. Okay, so,
In my opinion, it said it started at the beginning of the school year.
this school year is what it's
We
saying.
follow it.
Yes.
Well, the parents follow.
The consensus is yes, we will follow this. No. You have enough to do. Dr. Tuttle, could you turn up the heat, please?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know why you didn't say that for months. Mr. McCormick,
Go ahead.
don't tell us so.
Parkview security cameras, Mr. Wendland is going to provide an estimate for security camera systems. You know, we have 3 proposals, but they may not be ready for the meeting. So, obviously, since I didn't receive an email tonight or today from Mr. Wendland, I don't think we'll be able to get those ready to be set. So, what we did, as Dr. Pennell pointed out, the camera that was upstairs was rewired, and the monitor down in the office was readjusted so that the camera is now working. The issue is that none of the other cameras, the system is dissolved, and it's not a recorded system. It doesn't record any of the images, it doesn't capture. So if someone's standing right there, it doesn't matter if that camera is on or not. Somebody has to be seen. So, there's always someone in the office, for sure. But if the board is truly concerned about security of the buildings, then it needs to be a system that we can record to, and that is motion censored, or not censored, motion sensitive, activated, so that it's not wasting, storage time on the weekends or at night or things like that. And so that's what Mr. Wendland is doing, and that would be for Parkview, but I would submit that the other schools probably need it just as much. So.
Is that just to replace what is already there that's not working? Yeah, the 3 you said, is this just to replace the old ones? No additional ones?
No, there were 10 or 12, Dr. Tuttle.
Just about, this will allow us to have video feed in the gymnasium, the cafeteria, parking lot, as well as both ends of the hallway, upstairs and downstairs.
More than what is there right now.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Definitely needed.
So, he is working on proposals and bringing them back to work for discussion. All right, Senate Bill 100, the discipline policy, the discipline, the changes to discipline in schools now. Ms. Bailey asked that the IASB materials be included in your packets, which they are, and I added materials from a presentation, and while I think there are things that we do that will fulfill the intent and spirit behind the law. I think there's going to need to be some fundamental changes, because we have to, any student who is to be excluded from school for more than 4 days, we have to show that there have been services provided to that student to help them with their behavior before they were excluded from their education. And one of those being in-school suspensions. Now, we've had an in-school suspension room this year at Parkview, which has helped, I would say, on an almost daily basis. Dr. Tennell, is it used on a daily basis, or is it
At Parkview?
At Parkview.
At least some are part of the day, yeah. Sometimes it's just for a timeout, sometimes it's for a period or two, but yes.
Right.
I don't know what I'd do without it.
Yeah, exactly. And we have kind of co-opted and brought the support staff over from Parkview when there's been a day that there hasn't been a student assigned in school suspension, and there's been a need at LaSalle. We brought that person over to LaSalle to provide that same service there. So I don't believe it's going to entail another full-time staff by any means, but there will need to be some adjustments to people's schedules so that there is flexibility. So that Mr. McCormick can use that as an intervention in lieu of suspension and excluding students from school. So there's going to be press model policies will obviously be coming out regarding that, and press works in conjunction with the Illinois Principals Association regarding the model student handbook. It would be my suggestion and recommendation that the board investigate using the model student handbook because of the policy change, or the changes to the disciplinary policy that are coming out. That way, that the handbook is seamless with the press policy, and the press policy is seamless with the law, so that you're able to be able to say we're doing things in an appropriate and legal manner.
I looked that up and it was $200.
It's
around that?
Yeah, it's based on your student population, so it would be about that, and it's per building. It's a per building cost.
And most of those policies, you're required to take them as they're handed down anyway without changes. But what if there was one that had an option on it? Then how does that affect your handbook? Can you go and tell them to make that change?
The changes during the school year are then handled by revisions at the end of the school year when the new model policy comes out. If there are things that are so dramatic that you need to change your discipline policy during the middle of the year, then you're going to publish that portion on your district website. You're going to send notice to parents that no longer, or from here on out, everyone, all students who bring sodas to school are going to be expelled for up to and including 10 school days.
Just the sample.
Yes. Just an
Not get that
example.
room. Started. Get that started. No, but what I'm saying is when press comes down, and just like that policy tonight, we had an option of leaving that section in or taking it out. then how do they take that and put it in the handbook? How do they know what we've done or what we want done?
Well, they model press, so they're paying attention to what's going on from the press policy. So at the end of the school year, when you get your updated student handbook, model handbook from the Principals Association, those things are already addressed and taken care of in that policy.
You try, because he's not getting what I'm
Okay,
saying.
but if
Okay.
we changed the last two paragraphs of this policy, someone is gonna have to go in and monitor that from the district. Let's say press came down and there's 4 paragraphs.
Mhm.
This board decided to take the last 2 away.
Okay.
Next year, when that handbook comes to us, she's asking how do we keep track of that?
When we vary from the
When we, yeah,
policy that comes down from the press, when we make any changes at all that affect that handbook, then how's it?
Used to like them.
Well, then that's done at the parent-teacher advisory committee is the one that looks at the handbook and looks
They
back
need to monitor
and,
that.
and
Every
to,
year.
right, and
Okay,
to
that's what we're asking.
determine what
okay,
changes are needed,
okay.
but, okay.
So it's
I
like
see
a
what you're saying.
template?
Yes, it is, and, it's unfortunately, I don't think we can get copies of, the model policy if to purchase it. So, I guess we're kind of limited in that way. What we can do is try to find other school districts that use the IPA policy. And there are still things in there that you have to look at on a, on a district basis. Okay, so, we have life checks twice a year, so I don't know that that's necessarily in the model policy. So you would have to include those
So
benefits.
that would just be a starting point.
Yes. Right.
So you would modify what we need for your district.
But
I
it's,
think it's a good idea.
I do too.
sure.
The other districts are looking at it too, if they're not already using it. It's the easiest way to go.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Next, the. Miss Bailey asked me to, I think I got 3 there. Asked me about, to give some explanation of what the collaborative learning community is, the CLC. And essentially, the CLC is educators from the high school and the feeder districts that come together to talk about topics and information, share ideas, things of that nature, discuss current educational issues between and amongst themselves, and how is, and you can see from the handout here, SB 100 update just happens to be, impact of SB 100 in the classroom, small group discussions. So there's going to be a presentation by Mr. Bennett, and then there will be small group discussions from teachers and administrators that come together and from the different districts and talk about how this is going to impact their school, and to kind of bounce ideas and initiatives and suggestions off of each other. As you can see there's a breakout session about district initiatives, what's going on in your district, what are you doing, what are we doing in ours, and presentation on one-to-one technology from the high school. And then this community, we meet 3 times a year. So It is, it's looking at the big picture of education in all of the area school districts that are related to the high school. So,
So who attends this? I mean, just a small committee or?
yeah, administration, and we have one teacher that was chosen a year. Last month, we had a couple other teachers who attended because they were doing a presentation. They did part of the actual presentation at the CLC. They were doing their presentation that they did at the Raising Student Achievement Conference. So they attended as well. This year it's Mr. C. And Mr. C, I chose him because of one of the main topics of the first meeting of the CLC, which was East Peoria grade school, their tech lab. And so there was we had kind of a tour of the new junior high that included the technology lab. And with that was also the discussion of what the high school is going to be doing with their STEM academy, so to speak. And so because that could impact our students, and math is the biggest component of all of that, Mr. C was the one who chose to attend those meetings this year. So that's.
They're hoping that some of our children can get into the STEM academy.
Well, there are 12 openings this year, and it is a parent commitment, and there's a meeting for those students who were, based upon their math scores, they were invited to an open house, and because they have to commit to this for their sophomore, junior years. And then as seniors, it lightens up a little bit, and there's a real world component that goes with it as well. So it's really a 3-year commitment, and so they want parent buy-in and to really to get involved. So yeah, it's open to all 3 feeder districts and students. So it's based on student performance.
One of the board members at the high school was commenting on it at their last meeting, and they were very impressed by the feeder district that gave a presentation. In the process of elimination, when he mentioned the 80% low income, I figured it must be Creve Coeur. He was very impressed with the presentation that they gave for all the districts. So that's why I wanted to know what went on down there. Thank you.
No problem. And then Homewood. The board asked for Mr. Walk-Vital to, and I do apologize, it was demolition of the gym in his previous letter, not demolition of the entire building. So that was my mistake. But here is what he has given us as estimated costs, and so you can see that it's about $200,000 to do a full demolition. So well, all of the repairs together were close to $500,000 when you add them all, everything together.
And we need to put this on a future agenda, and more discussion is needed. I'm not going to make a quick decision here.
Did we also schedule before decisions made for the building?
Yes, we need to go through all 3 of the buildings. You mentioned that, thank you. Kind of off topic, but not. How would the board prefer to do this? Do you want to go down and walk through the buildings an hour before the meeting starts? Or hour and a half, or 2 hours, or do the meeting here, or do the meeting at the buildings. It's up to you.
How did we do it last year? Did that seem to like
We met at the
flow?
besides homework.
Didn't you do special meetings last year?
No, we met at each building,
Okay,
and
see that? Okay. We can do that. Begin the meeting at the regular time, when we get done, then finish the regular meeting. Or maybe start a little earlier.
We should start early.
Okay, we can do
I
that.
think we should.
How about if we start that next meeting? So that'll be April 12th. To do all three buildings, it's gonna take us through May. Which building would you like to start with? Homewood? Okay.
if it could, it might, and this is self-serving, but it might be better to wait until your new superintendent is on site, because then you're going through, that person gets an opportunity to go through and see the buildings. You know, that's something that I had to try to work in, and so it's summer, we started, and there's things that need to go on at Homewood, and I don't even know where the keys to Homewood are, or you know, or you know, which way to get there. You know, it took me 3 or 4 times around and behind in the neighborhood to find the place. So it's just a suggestion, but
I'd like to go ahead and go through, because this decision needs to be made pretty soon.
The Homewood one, at least.
Yes, at
At
least.
least Homewood. I think we should do it.
And if you're gonna do your summer work, you need to get an idea of what's coming. So,
Just make a point to take him or her back through.
that's, yeah,
Yeah.
but thank you for that, I didn't know that.
What time do you want to start?
5:30? Because I don't think
you
No,
have.
we'll start the meeting and it'll take as long as it takes.
April 12th is your architect interviews.
Okay, all right, then let's move it to the second one. Homewood Heights tour. What would that be?
26th?
Thank you. Let's start then and then we'll have to shove them through.
5:30 still?
Yeah. And anyone wanting to attend the meeting would be smart not to arrive here until about 6:30 or 7.
And we will return to the district office for the regular meeting.
Remainder of. Bring it. We'll do the others. Does that conclude your?
That is all I have, yes.
Okay, committee reports, building and grounds, upcoming. Policy, Mr. Giddens.
Nothing more tonight.
Tech, Mrs. Greiner.
Yes, I have a question about that. Remember the E8 company that we had to use last year?
Yes.
When is their contract up? And we just wanted to make sure that we renew it, or we look at somebody else, whatever we're gonna do.
Right, and right now, no, it wasn't it there? I don't remember. But we're in the middle of, I am in contact with them, with all of our E-rates, contracts that are coming through. They have to review them for discounts and their stuff. So, when that comes up, we'll be the first one to tell us, yeah. Sure.
All right, Parent Teacher Advisory Committee, Ms. Reagan is not here. Yes, Mr. McCormick, would you like to speak to that?
I believe we're meeting tomorrow
Okay,
at 3:15, and I know that I have 2 teachers and 2 parents from my building lined up, and Mrs. Reagan was recruiting from the other building as well.
only 2 teachers on that field.
Okay, all right, very good. If you need another board member to fill in for Mrs. Reagan, have you been contacted? Stella? If you would like to attend the meeting, it's at 3:15 tomorrow. I don't know. If you can't, I'm sure they will have more meetings, right?
Yes.
Before the handbook is done.
Yep.
Okay, so we will include you out there. Okay. All right, anything else? All right. Are there any visitors wishing to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Diane Donald. I work at the LaSalle Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls at Parkview and I are having some issues with the staff member. And we wondered if we could sit down as a group and talk to you guys.
Have you done your chain of command?
We've tried 3 times to go to a chain of command and haven't gotten very far.
Have you talked to your supervisor?
We have.
Mr. Aldrich, have you talked to different ones?
No. No one's come into my office. to
We've
talk
had
to me.
many issues brought to his attention. Haven't I?
Has anyone asked to come to meet with me?
No, we were told
Yes.
we couldn't.
We weren't allowed to. We were told we were not allowed to come to you.
Okay, why don't we, just stay and I'll talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Thank you very much.
Here. All right. We need a motion for executive session, please.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session for student matters, appointment, employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, and review of executive session minutes from the regular meeting dated February 23rd, 2016, and March 8th, 2016, and special meeting dated March 9th, 2016. Student matters. Second.
Denise?
Aye.
Hazel. Aye. Catherine Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Reiner.
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
Need a motion to resume regular session?
Make the motion to resume regular session at 10:02.
A second.
Giddens?
Aye.
Cagle?
Aye.
Reagan?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Reiner? Aye. Bailey?
Aye. Motion carried. In executive session, we discussed personnel. We did. Okay. Sorry. We need a motion regarding the minutes.
Make the motion regarding executive session meeting minutes of regular meetings dated February 23rd, 2016, and March 8th, 2016, and special meeting dated March 9th, 2016.
Is there a second? Mr. Gibbons?
Second.
Giddens?
Aye.
Cagle? Aye. Reagan?
Abstain.
Tyler?
Aye.
Reiner? Aye. Bailey?
All right, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the custodian.
Make a motion to employ Corey Bannon for the full-time custodian position effective March 22nd, 2016.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Giddens?
Aye.
Cagle?
Aye.
Reagan?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Reiner? Aye. Bailey?
All right, motion carried. Need a motion regarding the substitute custodian list.
Make a motion to add John Tyler McClister, Joshua Olenkarski, Matthew Kelso, and Clifford Cox to the substitute custodian list.
I second.
Roll call.
Giddens?
Aye.
Cagle? Aye. Reagan?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Reiner? Aye. Bailey?
All right, motion carried. Need a motion for a request of leave of absence.
I make the motion to approve the leave of absence request from Kathy Beam for the remainder of the 2015-2016 school year.
A second.
Roll call.
Giddens?
Aye.
Cagle?
Aye.
Reagan?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Reiner? Aye. Bailey?
All right, motion carried. Need a motion regarding job postings.
I make the motion to approve the job postings for the anticipated positions.
Second.
Do you need them specified?
Yeah.
Mr. Aldridge? Elementary
Elementary,
and special education
special education,
and a special education coordinator.
and a special education coordinator.
All right? Did we get a second on that?
Yes.
Okay?
Giddens,
Aye.
Pagel. Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Anything else? Make the motion to adjourn at 10:05.
Second. Giddens,
Aye.
Pagel. Aye. Reagan.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Griner. Aye. Bailey.
Aye, motion carried. Meeting adjourned.